Good afternoon, you wee bastards, and welcome back to War Thunder with Koala, and welcome to how to get more kills playing tank realistic battles. So before I start with anything about this match in the German 4.0 lineup, and we'll get to that very soon, I want to start by saying that this is going to be a guide primarily aimed at newer players, but for any and all of you viewers who are more experienced with the game, perhaps you'll still be able to learn something from this, or at the very least feel free to sit back with a nice cold beer, cold apple juice, maybe a tea or coffee, and enjoy. So this is a video I've been wanting to make for a little while. The footage you're seeing I've actually had saved up for about a month, because I realised that despite my covering the new top tier tanks like the M1A1, Challenger 2, the Radar AA, the Tunguska, top tier jets like the Mitsubishi T2, I'm working on a Leopard 2A5 video, and I'll soon be covering the T80U and G91YS as well. That's clearly where the hype is, and generally the views as well. For most players though, who aren't at top tier, maybe don't play top tier for whatever reasons, and therefore haven't really gotten much out of recent updates, life just goes on. And the World War II portion of this game deserves just as much love as the main battle tanks at tier 6 and now 7. So we're going to show it some. To get to the match at hand, we've got the German 4.0 lineup as I said before, which I personally would call one of the strongest in the entire game. Germany being famous for having fantastic lineups, some of their best being their 4.0, 5.7, 6.3 and 6.7, and 8.7, but at pretty much all other BRs, they're still very good. I've started this game out in the German Churchill, which is a captured premium. At that battle arena you've also got the captured German T-34, which I unfortunately don't have, and the other vehicles we'll go over in just a moment, but for this match in the Ardennes, a relatively close quarters town map against the Russians, who'll have KV-1s, perhaps KV-85s, and we've even got a German KV-2 on our team, so we know we haven't gotten into the most favourable matchmaker. Now, the real MVP here in the Panzer IV has just gone and started capturing the Bravo zone without waiting for anybody else to line up with him, so of course we have to unload some machine gun rounds into him to let him know just how disappointed we are. But in all fairness to the Panzer IV, there is every chance that at a battle rating this low, he just doesn't understand what he's done wrong. For any of you lads who might also be confused, there's an unwritten rule among the gentlemen and ladies of War Thunder that when you have a capture point in your team's territory, which is how this map is laid out with the caps being in a line running from one spawn to the other, rather than being equidistant from each team's spawn laid out perpendicularly, you should wait before capping, so that more team members can join you in the capture circle and reap the rewards from it. Well, Koala, you might ask, why should I care? Well, partly because what goes around comes around, and letting your teammates have some rewards as well as you is just a nice guy thing to do. Obviously, we're all grinding too, but more importantly, more of your teammates get a share in the spawn points you generate, meaning that your team will overall have more tanks on the battlefield throughout the course of the match. I should also mention, however, that if you're in a light tank, don't waste your mobility by sitting and waiting for your team, just skip over the closer capture point and head for the middle one if you want to cap, which will secure the upper hand for your team. Now, because of the Puma on our team that rushed hard towards the enemy, tanks moving on from the Alpha capture point would have had to divert their attention, at least one T-34 did, taking out the Puma, but he will have the spawn points now to respawn, and thanks to that diversion, the Italian P-40 and I have taken the Charlie point, which means we now have the capture point advantage and enough spawn points to respawn ourselves. Now this situation here is an excellent showcase of why I began this match in specifically the Churchill. There's a tank in front of me, it's an early T-34, not too big of a threat, we take him out with the second shot, but we're in a close quarters urban environment, and there's likely to be at least one enemy tank to the left or right of me. Actually, right now there's an enemy tank to the left and right of my Churchill, as well as at least one more in front. There's another T-34 that just took out the P-40 to my right side, as well as something moving off to my left, which I don't know what it is yet. And that's why I chose the Churchill, because I knew that this situation would end up happening, and the Churchill is not just a heavy tank from the front. Unlike a lot of the heavy tanks in War Thunder that aren't Russian, the Churchill is also very difficult to take out from the side. So there goes the first shot into, it's a KV-1, he's only got the L11 cannon, which is going to have a very hard time penetrating me if I angle correctly. So I can kind of take my time with this guy, put a shot into the T-34, I spot moving in behind him because I know that this KV-1 can't really kill me frontally. Of course, as I say that, he penetrates me frontally. Unfortunately, that T-34 got away. I have no idea how the KV-1 got through my front, but he only killed 2 crew members luckily enough, and I can put a third shot in, which I don't know what happened to there, and we get taken out by another T-34 that was off to my right. So there's now 2 T-34s, a KV-1 in the capture point, and another T-34 that's moving around to the right side, which my team has not taken out yet. How to get more kills? Koala, you've only got one. Yeah, just hold tight. Now, what I chose to spawn in second might surprise you. The BF-109 F4. There goes an enemy kill assist on the KV-1. That's the biggest threat to our team taking out. Just those 3 T-34s around that area. And I know that we've prevented the enemy from pushing. They've only just captured Charlie. So it makes a lot of sense for me to respawn in the BF-109 because I know that they're really not going to have too many players in the capture point, and the players that they have respawning did not get to capture more than 1 point and didn't really get to achieve too much in the map. So I know that they're going to be in light vehicles because they won't have the spawn points to spawn anything else. Drop a nice casket of Bratwurst on that T-34, and it's time to go and hunt for some more players that might be flanking around. That's the other big threat to our team right now. Because I know that there weren't many players in the middle of the map, there's either a lot of people that have died and respawned, and that's all of these AA and other light vehicles right here, or there's going to be a lot of players flanking, and it turns out there was a little bit of both. So we took out the one flanker, taken out one SPAA now, and we've got a couple more left, and I'm constantly checking back my spawn points to see just how many respawns I could afford. Now this next segment of the video might seem a wee bit unfair, especially for being included in a guide on how to get more kills, because I'm just farming kills on these poor flak trucks. But it does make a lot of sense for my team right now, because German teams have been spawning in quite a bit of close air support recently, and German close air support besides the BF-109s is typically quite heavy. We're talking twin engine planes that will be very easy for these flak trucks to take out. So the more of them I can take out, the more safe my team will be, and the better off my team is doing, the more kills I will be able to get. Or more kill assists, as the Italian R3 armoured car takes out the second flak truck, and then gets taken out himself. And that's just another reason why going for these flak trucks does make a lot of sense, because a lot of the Russian flak trucks in AA at this tier can actually be quite damaging to the tanks on your team. We also took out just then an Su-51 tank destroyer, and we've got at least 2 more flak trucks there. This is also preventing these players from going into the map, collecting more spawn points, and respawning more tanks. So for every one of these flak trucks I take out, I'm taking out multiple vehicles from the match, because the enemies will not have had the chance to farm the spawn points to respawn again. And that is partly what I mean by getting more kills. We're not actually racking up a massive amount of kills. I actually only got 11 kills in this match, which is certainly not a bad result. Actually, it's quite a good result, but it's nothing amazing. I did actually have a 16 kill game in this exact same lineup that I wanted to use. Actually, it was on the same map as well, and I wanted to use that footage from this video, but I would have had to use the replay because I didn't manage to actually record the match itself, and then update 1.87 meant that all my replay files were no longer valid, so there goes that. Now, I secured one more flak truck kill by ramming him to death. I knew there was an enemy fighter behind me, I was very lacking in ammunition, and I thought it was worthwhile hopping into a tank anyway, because if you haven't been paying attention, our team has very much lost the map right now. Now, I debated which version of the Panzer IV to spawn, and I ended up going with the Panzer IV-J because, well, I've actually recently just gotten around to unlocking this thing and I'm trying to spade it. Despite the thumbnail for this video, the Panzer IV-G is actually one of the very few vehicles of this lineup I didn't end up spawning in. I just didn't need to. But I already had the thumbnail planned out, I thought it looked perfect, so I decided I'd go ahead and use it anyway. So if that makes you salty, then go ahead and write your complaints in the comment section below. As if we needed your permission for that, Koala. I've kicked the hornet's nest now. Now, this 4.0 German lineup really belongs to the Panzer IV. It's the most versatile tank of the lineup, it's the crutch, the mainstay, and it's definitely what you're going to get the most use out of. I've been absolutely loving the Panzer IV-G in this lineup. I use it far more than I do the premium Churchill. The Panzer IV-J here is really a very similar tank. We have a bit of spaced armor, which doesn't really do anything for us. I believe we have a slightly more powerful 75mm cannon, but we sacrifice the G's turret traversing speed, which means this tank almost functions more as a tank destroyer than a medium tank. The Stug 3G is actually another vehicle I considered spawning in after the BF-109, but once again, I'm going through the spading process with this tank. That's not a tank, Koala. Now, we're only sitting at 6 kills right now, so you'd be forgiven for thinking, hey, this isn't really showing us how to get more kills yet. And perhaps it's not. Remember though that I also have 3 assists, all 3 of which could very easily have been kills. That was just a slight misstep in aiming by me, and no small amount due to ping, which cost me the KV-1 and the flak truck that the R3 killed. So it's safe to say that we very easily could have had 9 kills right now, and that's about to become 10. Because there's a cheeky breaky ASU-57 that's sitting off to my left, there he is. And unfortunately the poor turret traversing rate of this tank means that I failed to save my friendly Panzer IV, so Archangel 933, if you're watching this video, my apologies. As I said before, this particular match wasn't the highest scoring game I had in this very same lineup in the space of 2 weeks, and my record for the most kills in one match is 21 in the M18 Hellcat American Light Tank Destroyer. I've actually also gotten 21 kills in this lineup about 2 years ago, but those games were just stomping grounds, and there's not much use in a guide on how to get more kills if I'm just showing off how well I can club a particularly bad enemy team. This match, while I did get less kills in it, is actually a better showcase of the points I'm trying to make, such as taking out the heavy tank first to help me succeed in the urban environment, and keeping a close eye on how many spawn points the enemy team has when I respawn, knowing that they'll either be respawning light vehicles that my plane can take out, or be in light vehicles in the first place flanking that I can spot from my team, giving them a bit of Overwatch. No, not that Overwatch. And that really is exactly how you get more kills in your matches, by knowing your tank, knowing your lineup, and when each vehicle is going to be most effective. And once again, this was really the time for the Stug, but also reading the map and, most importantly, controlling the spawn points and treating the enemy team's spawn point gain as something you're actually fighting. Now I've flanked around the south side of Charlie here after killing the ASU-57, that gives me a very easy kill on the unsuspecting T-34 for my 8th kill, plus the 3 assists, so 11 total dead tanks we played a direct role in taking out. Plus, as I said before, all of those flak trucks which could have collected spawn points to spawn in yet more tanks if I hadn't taken them out. That's what it looks like to fight against the spawn point gain, and in fact you could even say that we were fighting against and effectively killing, or should I say taking out, the enemy players' lineups, even those vehicles that they hadn't even spawned in yet. That's 12. Nice try, KV1. Maybe consider driving with your eyes open next time. I can see that there's another target through the bushes there as he fires. I'm going to put a shot in but bounce off the T-34's sloped upper hull and angle the tank to see if I might be able to bounce. Nope. Oh well, at least my gunner and gun breach are still up, which allows me to take out the T-34 with the follow-up shot. Oh, actually I'm not quite sure what happened there. I think I lit his fuel up. Yeah, if you lads struggle killing T-34s, always aim for the neck. Right where the turret meets the hull, there's quite a sizable weak spot there. And get used to that, because in 18 months' time, that's exactly where we'll be shooting Abrams tanks. Of course, the last thing I should mention when it comes to getting more kills, and this is another thing that plays more into preventing tanks spawning in the first place, is teamwork. That's not what we're here for, Koala, rah 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 rah. Well, we'll get to that. I'm solo in this match, no squad, and I've not been typing in chat either. But what I have been doing is focusing on the areas of the map that will allow my team to move into strategic locations without being pestered. Which is not really something I can give a guide on because it's different for every nation, on every map, at every tier, in every vehicle. It's just something you have to learn by experience. What we did here, however, is hold the midpoint long enough that our teammates have been able to advance back to our location and beyond, going around the cap and using a pincer maneuver to encircle Alpha, which they're now attempting to capture. Now we move into what I'd call Phase 4 of this game, where we've won, it's just a matter of sustaining the advantage we have until either the tickets bleed out or the Russians run out of tanks to throw at us. And this is realistic battles, so when it comes to the Soviet Union running out of men to throw at the advancing German army, yeah, it's gonna be the ticket drain. Oh, good shot there, Koala. Never mind. It's only a T-50. Phase 1 of this game was the Churchill, the initial advance, taking the halfway point early and sustaining it for long enough that many of the enemy team's tanks died before those players had enough spawn points to bring out something significant like a T-34 or KV-1. Phase 2 was in the BF-109, hawking over the map, watching the flanks and taking out the respawning SPAGs before they could accrue more spawn points, thus eliminating entire lineups from the match. Phase 3 was moving on the Charlie cap, securing the midpoint once again and holding it against 3 enemy tanks, allowing my teammates time to catch up and advance together on Alpha, which is part 4, or Phase 4. Oh, it's been a long day. Now, unfortunately my Panzer IV got taken out by the KV-1S, probably the biggest threat this entire match, and we're only just seeing him now. Unfortunately for the enemy team, who could really have used a good KV-1S player about 10 minutes ago. But this game is over now. I spawned in the Stug 3G because it's quite fast, but even with the speed of this tank destroyer, the game is going to end before I can kill anybody else. So here's the reward screen. 11 enemy tanks actually killed, plus 3 assists, only 2 cap zones because I didn't manage to capture Alpha before the KV-1S killed my Panzer IV, which brings our total number of deaths up to a whopping 3. The RP gain is really negligible because I'm researching a tier 5 aircraft and a tier 6 tank with tier 2s and 3s. But that is a lot of Silver Lions for tier 2 games. 85,000. This lineup is exceptional, and I didn't even make full use of it. There just wasn't time. We also had the Panzer IV, the best tank of the lineup, which we didn't use, the Stug 3G that we didn't actually manage to do anything with, a second Bf-109, the tropical variant of the F4, the 88mm Zugkraftwagen, or Flak Bus as it's commonly known, the captured German T-34, as well as the Wirbelwind, Bf-110 G2, Me-410A1U4, and the Pack Puma with its 75mm gun, all at battle rating 3.7. That's 12 separate vehicles, making this lineup, in my opinion, one of the best in the whole game. And that's a lot of rewards to prove it. Anyway lads, I sincerely hope you have enjoyed this video. That's all the time we've got for today, but before I go, I just want to let you lads know that I'll be doing a special 24-hour live stream for charity in the coming few days just after Easter on my Twitch, link below. So all donations go towards charity. We're actually supporting children with mental disability, and we'll also be doing a giveaway or 2 for subscribers, so make sure you join the Discord and follow me on Twitter to stay up to date with that. If you did enjoy, please make sure to leave a like. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon, join the 360 squad, and come follow me on all these social media, links in the description below. Please let me know your thoughts on what I said here, and remember to come check out my Patreon if you would like to support the channel further. Anyway lads, have a lovely good day, and always remember, keep your bagpipes to hand, keep your kilt on, and I shall see you next video. I say a wee thank you to these lads for supporting me on Patreon. The Bretlander, Seagull Nuts, DA261, Kiesliga Darson, and Dark Recon. You lads are bra. If you wish to join them, come check out the link in the description below.